oder Schriften in ihre Nachfolges mehren. 5. Die Herrlichkeit des Chanten von Hare Krishna für Einbildung zu halten und unachtsam zu chanten. 6. Den heiligen Namen des Herrn zu interpretieren. 7. Mit Vertrauen auf die Kraft der heiligen Namen des Herrn sündhaft zu handeln. 8. Das Chanten von Hare Krishna für einen der glückbringenden rituellen Handlungen zu halten, die in den Veden als fruchtbringenden Tätigkeiten angeboten werden. 9. Einen Ungläubigen über die Herrlichkeit der heiligen Namen zu unterrichten. 10. Keinen festen Glauben an das Chanten der heiligen Namen zu besitzen und materielle Anhaftung zu bewahren, selbst nachdem man so viele Unterweisungen in diesem Zusammenhang verstanden hat.
Да, есть такие проблемы.
Okay.
Anandamutivakanam pratipadam purnamita sadhanam sarvatmasvapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna sankirtanam namnamakari baldam nisya sarvashaktis tatra vitanyamita smaradena karaha Vitarvishitava kripa madhavam mamati Durdaivam hidisham ihajani nanurara Vinadati sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari Nadanam najanam nasundarim Kavitam vajagati shakamaye Mama janmani janmanishvare Bhavata bhaktira haituki tvai Ainanda Tanujakinkaram Patitam Nishame Bhagavan Buddhav Kripaya Tava Parapankajas Pitazuli Sadrisham Vichintaya Nayanam Dalata Shudaraya Vadanam Gadgadarudraya Jira Pulakaya Nityanam Vabhukana Bhavanam Arahane Bhavishyati Yogaitam Nishena Chakshusha Pravishaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahe Name Ashrishyava Padaratam Vinashtumam Adarshana Marmahatam Karotuva Yatha Katha Varitadatuvam Pato Matpranathastu Sadreva Naparaha.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar, for which we are always anxious. O Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus, you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are even not hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. But I'm so unfortunate that there is no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, keeping oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than false prestige and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor I do desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your closeless devotional service, birth of the birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I fall into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of Atman's upload lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years of more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. But I know no one but Krishna's my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He's completely free to do anything and everything, who is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. He seeks us to come.
Jai. Sastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samsapako Lokana Mitakarina Tribhuvane Manyam Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Matalika Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako.
Maharaj, if you allow me, this little boy is going to give us the translation, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So.
Ich habe vergessen, wie er heißt. Der Lord Steiner hat den letzten...
Laut und sprich so lang, damit er dich hören kann.
Der Lord Chaitanya hat den 6 Goswamis gesagt, dass sie alle Bücher auf der ganzen Welt lesen.
Welche Bücher?
Heilige Bücher auf der Welt lesen und dann in einen Tag. Und dann das Wichtigste in ein Buch reinschreiben.
Ja, welches Buch?
Nektar der Hingabe.
Wo ist das Buch?
Da.
Und warum?
Weil die Menschen jetzt in Kali Yuga sind dumm und sie können nicht alle Bücher lesen in einem Tag, aber sie können ein Buch in weniger Zeit lesen als alle diese Bücher.
Super. Dankeschön.
Bravo.
He hasn't been here in 6 months. He hasn't been.
Ausgezeichnet. Okay. We will be reading from Nectar of Devotion, the chapter Existential Ecstatic Love.
Экзистенциальная любовь.
We have the section Tears, and we have the last part here.
Wir sprechen kein Englisch.
Auf Russisch. We need a translation, please.
To my, is
Up
my
to
or
Maharaj.
is my or is ours my?
If you can speak loud enough, for we're not so many people, but we'll recommend you microphone. Thank you very much.
Глава «Экстатическая любовь». Конец главы.
In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam,
В 10-й песне Шримад Бхагаватам,
60th chapter, 60,
в 60 главе,
verse 23,
глава 23,
there is a nice example
есть очень хороший пример
of Rukmini's shedding tears of lamentation.
как проливала слезы Рукмини в разлуке.
When Krishna and Rukmini were talking,
Кришна и Рукмини, они разговаривали.
Rukmini became frightened of separation from Krishna,
И Рукмини предчувствовала, что разлуку с Кришной.
and therefore she began scratching the earth with her red lotus-like nails.
И она стала скрести землю своей ногой.
Because she was shedding tears.
И у нее появились слезы.
The black ointment from her eyes was dripping.
И украшения такие у нее были черные, типа сульмы, вот они начали размываться.
Along with tears.
И вот вместе со слезами
And it fell onto her breasts.
они начали течь вниз.
Which were, her breasts were covered with kumkum powder.
И постепенно и капали на ее грудь, а ее грудь была покрыта кумкумой.
Rukmini was so aggrieved that her voice was choked up.
И ее голос задрожал. Всё.
If you allow me to speak for this.
Yeah.
Ach so, ihr habt ja Russisch verstanden. Ja? Damoda? If you allow me, Maharaj, because we take 5 minutes for children.
Yeah, sure.
Да,
Yes.
у нас
You
уже
know the procedure already.
5 минут для детей сейчас будет, да?
So, Yugambara, kannst du dich erinnern, was jetzt gerade gesagt wurde?
Это я не понимаю.
Hast du zugehört?
Ja.
Und was kannst du dich erinnern?
Das
Laut sprechen, damit wir alle hören.
dass Krishna dadurch weggefahren ist und die Rukmini am Wein war. Also,
Was war mit der Rukmini?
die hat geweint.
Die hat geweint, ja. So in Germany he said, yes, Rukmini was crying because Krishna had to leave. Damodar, was hast du noch gehört?
Als Krishna mit Rukmini redete,
Aha, when he
hat die Rukmini angefangen zu weinen und sie hatte schwarzen Schmuck und das ist wegen als sie weinte, wurde es geschmolzen und auch untergefallen und auch ihre Brust war mit keine Ahnung was
Okay.
bedeckt.
Ich erkläre dir das mal. Und zwar, das Schwarze, das war kein Schmuck, das war das Schwarz von ihren Augen, die Schminke. Und wie sie geweint hat, ist das alles runtergeflossen und deswegen war ihre Brust voll davon und ihre ganze Sari, der war total voll von diesem Schwarzen von den Augen, weil sie so geweint hat. Okay? Also es war nicht der Schmuck, sondern die Schminke von ihren Augen. Okay? Gut. Und hast du noch was gehört? Nein? Okay, hast du aber verstanden, ne? Okay. Hast du noch was gehört? Hast du vergessen? Okay, nächstes Mal, wenn du es hörst, versuch dich dran zu erinnern, damit du uns das sagen kannst. Okay? Super, danke. Okay, sonst noch jemand? Anybody else remember something more? I remember something more. Okay, I can tell? Yes. So, and Rukmini, when she felt, I speak German, so and you translate in Russian, so this.
But he is not, no, he don't know German.
Don't know.
Матушка говорит тоже, что я сейчас
He gets
Yes, sir.
Also ich spreche Deutsch dann und dann Englisch. So, was ich mich noch erinnere, wie Rukmini gemerkt hat, dass sie anfängt zu weinen, da hat sie sich erstmal zurückgehalten und sie hat mit die Nägel von ihren Füßen den Boden gekratzt, weil sie wollte sich beherrschen, dass sie ja nicht weint. Aber nach einer Weile konnte sie sich nicht mehr beherrschen und dann fingen die Tränen an zu fließen. Ja, kannst du dich da erinnern?
Aber wir sind halt halten müssen, deswegen will ich nicht so viel reden.
Good. Okay, so she explained to us she has sore throat, but she wanted to say just what I just said. This is what she wanted to say, but she couldn't because her throat is not good. So I explained that Rukmini felt that she was going to cry, and she's trying to avoid her tears to flow, so she's scratching the ground with her feet, but eventually she couldn't, and then the tears were flowing. Okay? For Russian, English,
Да,
good?
то есть мы вспомнили уже все.
Yes. Okay, Maharaj, thank you very much. Maybe you would like to add something?
No. Why was she crying? She was crying because she was fearing Krishna would leave her, that there would be separation, and therefore, and it's good for all of us also to be fearful that we forget Krishna.
Да, и почему Рукмини плакала? Потому что она чувствовала разлуку с Кришной, и это чувство на самом деле очень хорошее, если у нас оно все такое будет, то это будет очень хорошо для наших бхакти.
May I ask a question to this without getting too much in
Есть
it?
вопрос?
What was the reason? Because he was not just going away, she was fearing that he's going to leave her. This is two different things.
Вопрос в
So
том, что
what
он же еще
was
не
the
ушел.
reason why she was afraid that he will leave her?
Yeah,
Он еще не ушел, почему она вообще
Just in one sentence, just.
and
Одно предложение, пожалуйста.
well, Krishna was teasing Rukmini.
He was,
Teasing Rukmini,
yeah, teasing her, exactly.
yeah. And she was saying to Rukmina, why did you marry me?
Он начал шутить с Рукмини.
You could have married great princes like Sisupal.
Теперь надо было на принце жениться, типа Шишупалами.
I don't possess anything because everything belongs to King Ugrasena.
Или там Уграсена.
And I've taken shelter in the ocean here and that because I'm afraid of all these enemies who can attack me.
На самом деле, у меня даже из земли мне это построил свой царство Дараки на острове, на море.
So Krishna says, I don't have anything.
И я не могу тебе ничего дать.
But Rukmini will later on reply.
Позже Рукмини ответила.
And she said, yes, that's right, you don't have anything.
Да, действительно, у тебя ничего нет.
Because you are everything.
Потому что ты всем и являешься.
If you are everything, how can you have something?
Да, если ты являешься всем, то как ты можешь иметь что-то? То есть меньше, чем ты есть.
Much more interesting reply.
Да, и вот это очень интересный ответ Рукмини.
So, habt ihr verstanden? Ja? Hast du verstanden? Stammmutter ist leider nicht da, das musste ich später noch mal sagen. Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Спасибо, Махарадж. Отлично.
Du hast was verpasst. Ja.
Да,
Jetzt.
что там, да?
Willst du es jetzt wissen?
Keine Ahnung.
Ja, willst du es wissen, was du verpasst hast? Ja, aber nächstes Mal gehst du nicht so schnell raus, okay? Sonst, jetzt müssen wir das nämlich wiederholen. Ja? So, der Maharaj hat uns gerade erklärt, warum die Rukmini überhaupt geweint hat. Na, wir denken, die hat geweint, weil Krishna weggeht. Aber sie hat geweint, weil sie Angst hatte, dass Krishna sie verlässt. Das war was anderes. Verstehst du? Und dann hat Maharaj erklärt, dass wir auch immer darüber nachdenken müssen, dass wir immer an Krishnas denken, damit wir Krishna nicht vergessen. Und wenn wir ihn vergessen, dann hat er uns verlassen. Verstehst du? Ja? Okay. Das hat er gerade erklärt, da warst du leider nicht da. Okay. So I don't repeat this because you wanted to know what you said.
Ja, ich verstehe Deutsch.
Ja, ja.
90% kein Problem.
Weiß ich.
Ja.
Aber für die anderen hatte ich jetzt.
Ja.
Gut. Okay, so Maharaj, you can continue and I will go with the children prepare breakfast. Because this is...
Хорошо, можете продолжать, а вот мы с детьми пойдем готовить завтрак.
Okay.
Now we don't need I translated for children.
We reach from the introduction.
Yes, we are reading this introduction.
One paragraph.
Yes, one paragraph.
Okay.
Okay.
Reading from the introduction by Iskconw. The abode of Lord Krishna is described in Bhagavad Gita 15 chapter 6 verse. Natava Saitesriyo Nasa Sasanka Napavaka Kat Fanani Bhaktate Tadama Paramanama. That supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. This verse gives a description of that eternal sky. Of course, we have a material conception of the sky, and we think of it in relationship to the sun, moon, stars, and so on. But in this verse, the Lord states that in the eternal sky there is no need for the sun, nor for the moon, nor electricity or fire or any kind, because the spiritual sky is already illuminated by the Brahmajyoti, the rays emanating from the Supreme Lord. We are trying with difficulty to reach other planets, but it is not difficult to understand the abode of the Supreme Lord. This abode is referred to as Golok. In the Brahma Samhita it is beautifully described. Goloka eva nivasata kilatma bhuta. The Lord resides eternally in his abode, Golok. Yet it can be approached from this world, and to this end the Lord comes to manifest his real form, Satchitananda Vita. When he manifests this form, there is no need for our imagining what he looks like. To discourage such imaginative speculation, he descends and exhibits himself as Shyama Sundar. Unfortunately, the less intelligent deride him because he comes as one of us and plays with us as a human being. But because of this, we should not consider the Lord one of us. It is by his omnipotency that he presents himself in his real form before us and displays his pastimes, which are replicas of those pastimes found in his abode.
Обитель Господа Кришны написано в Бхагавад-гите 15.6. Бахасая Сурьяна Шишарго Памахаха Гадуа Манивартанте Тадхарма Прамадума. Перевод. Это моя высшая деятельность освещается не солнцем, не луной, не огнем, не электричеством. Тот, кто однажды достиг ее, больше не возвращается в материальный мир. В этом стихе дано описание вечного неба. У нас существует материальное представление о небе, оно ассоциируется с солнцем, луной, звездами и так далее. Однако в данном стихе Господь говорит, что вечное небо не озаряется ни солнцем, ни луной, ни электричеством, ни огонь, ибо оно озаряемо сиянием промежутка, лишь исходящих от самого Верховного Господа. И прилагаешь такое усилие, чтобы понять природу других планет, однако понять, что представляет собой обитель Господа, совсем нетрудно. Эта обитель называется Галокой, в Бхагавад-гите 5.37, но означает описание обители Господа. Галока Эва Сатья Пилатом Гулутам. Господь вечно пребывает в своей обители на Галоке, но даже те, кто находится в материальном мире, могут достичь его. Именно ради этого Господь не сходит к нам и являет свою вечную форму сочетанным игроков. Да сам Господь находится перед ними в своей всемогущей, отпадает необходимость гадать, как он выглядит, Чтобы прекратить все возможные домыслы, он сам приходит в материальном мире, является людям своей истинной высшего сундара, к сожалению. И далекие люди смеются над ним, потому что он пришел на землю, как один из нас, и играет роль человека. Однако это еще не повод считать Господа одним из нас. Господь всемогущ, поэтому он может представить перед нами в своем синонимике и вид своей истинной игры, которые в точности воспроизводят игры, проходящие в его объективе.
Srila Prabhupada. What's next?
Commentary on this. Or you can
Usually some comments to this part of introduction, if you want, or any.
This is the introduction of Srila Prabhupada to the Bhagavad Gita.
Понимаете?
Ну, если, ну, а все понимают, да? Ну, у меня такой средненький сейчас.
Следующий объясню.
So this, and of course, it's a Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada addresses the contents of the Bhagavad Gita, and he prepares the reader to understand it properly. And that's very important that we approach Bhagavad Gita with the right mentality. He says in Bhagavad Gita also that one should at least accept that Krishna is God theoretically, that maybe theoretically, and then by reading Bhagavad Gita, one's faith will develop. One's faith will develop, and that so that's important. And the same he does in this paragraph. He says yes, that one should not think because Krishna descends as and displays pastime as a human being, that he is a human being. That he's not. That because that's a great mistake. That's practically Srila Prabhupada. He writes his purport, but if you know Bhagavad Gita, you can point out the voices, the verses he's referring to. That Avachananti Mamata Mam Shantanam Ashvita. That's 9:11, I don't think, yeah. That one would think that, one would think that I'm a normal, I'm a human being, that he is a Muda, an ass, a fool, and also in this verse he speaks about Golok Vrindavan, and the verse Krishna speaks about Golok Vrindavan in the Bhagavad Gita is 8:21. There Krishna speaks about his Param Dham, his supreme abode, and Srila Prabhupada in the purport quotes the same verse from the Brahma Samhita that he quotes in this purport. So it's all in the Bhagavad. It's practically the translation of the verses with commentaries that he gives. But he writes it in such a way that he prepares the reader to come in the right mood. And also to give an idea what the Bhagavad Gita is about. In the introduction he gives the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita, that he writes about these 5 topics, because that's about Bhagavad Gita explains how these 5 are related to each other, and he brings that in the beginning, but also like even children can understand that. I was in 2011, it's already 14 years ago. I was giving I had to give a talk to boys of the school. They were 5 years old. And at the end they understood that I asked them, who is Ishvara? Ishvara, and they replied, Krishna. Then I asked, who is Shiva? They said, that's us. Then I asked, what Prakriti? Prakriti is everything around us. Then what is karma? Karma, oh, that's what we do. That karma. And then I asked, what's kala? And one boy raised his hand and said, I'm always coming too late at school. He knew what's kala. So yes, this is what's the topics of Bhagavad Gita. He addresses the right mood, how to study Bhagavad Gita. That also that one must be non-envious of Krishna. It is a very interesting introduction, and that introduction has been published as a separate book. That introduction to Bhagavad Gita. In English, it's available. It's just a little booklet, and on book distribution, people who don't take Bhagavad Gita, we give that little book, this introduction. They are introduced to the Bhagavad Gita.
This one?
Yes, that's it, yeah. It's auch in Deutsch, yeah.
But this is bigger than this introduction.
Yeah, the same.
It's all very light, devotees.
But Bhagavad Gita is very essential for all of us, because factually the Srimad Bhagavatam explains Bhagavad Gita in practice. How to live Bhagavad Gita, that's defined in the Bhagavatam. So therefore, Prabhupada, in these verses, in his purpose in Bhagavad Gita, he refers constantly to Bhagavatam. And practice each verse of the Bhagavatam, he refers to Bhagavad Gita. So that is that. But factually, all knowledge is in Bhagavad Gita. And it's the most important book. It's good to have every day to repeat one chapter. One chapter. I learned that from Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj knows all the verses by heart in Sanskrit and in English, all of them, and he knows what's in the purport. Each verse he can tell what's in the purport. But how did he come to that point? Every day he takes a chapter and takes the first verse and he has a little paper and he put it on it, and then he says the Sanskrit and he looks if it's right, and then the English and he looks, and so he goes to the whole chapter and that takes maybe 20 minutes a chapter. It's not so long, and he does that every day. And then
Закрывал часть текста английского,
So-
источком читал санскрит, а потом смотрел, и так всю пробовал, по чуть-чуть постепенно.
So every 18 days he's going to the Bhagavad Gita, and every day he reads 10 purports of 10 verses with purport, and he goes also to, and I'm doing the same, and yeah, of course, some have a good memory, some it's not so good, but still, you will attain what's in Bhagavad Gita, and you start to see the connections between the verses. If someone asks you what's in this chapter, you can tell what's in this chapter, practically verse by verse, and you understand the flow of them, and that makes it, that brings it alive. So mostly, when I was traveling with Prahlad Maharaj, I traveled for him for nearly 10 years, 3 months, 3 months every year. And it has a story, an history, because this, in the beginning of the 90s, we know, the Iron Curtain fell, I remember all these things, and then at the end of the second part of the 90s, there was this horrible war in Yugoslavia, and then but that ended in 99 and 99, and then 2000 in the beginning of 2001. I was just in 99. I became the first secretary for the region governing body of Europe. And Prahlad Maharaj was the first chairman. And they sent both of us on a mission to Serbia to see how the devotees were doing right after the war. Prahlad Maharaj and myself, we went to Amsterdam. We had a flight to Zagreb, and it was interesting. We arrived in Zagreb, and Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was there. We had a festival with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, but then after that, a few days later, the devotees from Zagreb, they brought us to the border with Serbia, and they stopped like a few hundred meters from the border, and that you go, because there had been very big fights there at the end of the war, and so many died. So Prahlad Maharaj and myself, we came on the border in civil clothes, and we went first to the Croatian border, was no problem, but then we came at the Serbian border, and we underwent a big interrogation there. They looked all our luggage. I could see, they asked Prahlad Maharaj, what's your profession, what are you coming to do? And he said, I'm a yoga teacher. I could see Maharaj, how he was fixing his mind on Krishna. But anyway, they looked on it in our luggage, opened the luggage, and when they opened my luggage, they found all these devotees, and then they found a Bhagavad Gita. He opened it, put it back, and then between there was a picture of Radha Gopinath from Radhadesh. In the corner, a picture of my Guru Maharaj. But before he took that picture, he had a pack, and was a pack with burfish. And he told me what this does. I told him sweets. He put it back, and then he put that picture of Radha Gopinath, and he looked at it. he put it back close to the case and said, "Go." And then he came at the other side of the border. There, Atmabu was the regional secretary for Serbia at that time. He was waiting, and he was waiting with such this at that time these small Yuhu cars, real small car. And Paladinomas was in front, and I was sitting in the back with the luggage just. And then we drove. But Atmabu had calculated how much fuel he needed, but he miscalculated. And two kilometers before the fuel station, the gas station, we fell without fuel. So Atmabu had a fuel bottles, empty bottles, plastic bottles, and it disappeared in the fields. And 2 hours later he came back, just enough fuel to go to the next gas station. But then it was just after the war, and you could see every house, every apartment block, bullet holes everywhere. And the highway was at many places just damaged from the bombs, which were, some of them were still there. And then we arrived in Belgrade. We had immediately to go to the police to register. And then the devotees, they were in a small apartment in civil clothes. And we entered this apartment, and you could feel they were still afraid this war was. But then when we arrived there, Paladinomas and myself, we did something what we don't usually do. We looked at television.
What?
We looked at the television.
Yeah,
We looked at the television because the date was 9/11, September the 11th. And we saw these twin towers in New York collapsing. And Maharaj is from New York. That was interesting. But I traveled, then we started to travel. Every year we came there, and we started to expand. And we went to Macedonia, to the south, to Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, all these countries, Slovenia, and also Croatia. And every year we visited all these countries. And in the evening was Bhagavad Gita class. And Maharaj would speak 20 minutes on a verse of Bhagavad Gita. And then he would ask me to speak 20 minutes. And then after that he gave, in private, he gave me feedback on my preaching. Sometimes sweet, sometimes not so sweet. But he taught me how to preach according to Siddhanta, the conclusion. And I'm very thankful for him, because otherwise, now I know Bhagavad Gita somewhat, not like Prahlad, but I can speak on any topic of Bhagavad Gita helpfully. And that is his mercy. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita, it's good to learn from someone who is very experienced in it. Because his explanations has helped me also to understand more deeply Srila Prabhupada's purpose. Thank you. That's Any questions?
Question.
Yeah.
Yesterday we discussed the topic and I could not give answer, and I promised to devotees to ask senior devotees if you have some yes, you can yesterday. The question is, rasa dance in spiritual world, how may be night in this rasa dance, because no darkness in spiritual world. So, it's not like it.
Yeah, there are differences between Goloka Vrindavan and earthly Vrindavan.
Есть разница между Гокулой и Галорой, то есть проявлением здесь, на земле, и в духовном мире.
So you have Goloka Vrindavan, and Krishna descended and took his Paramdam, his holy Dham, to the earth.
Говорит, что есть изначально, а есть на земле проекция.
But there are differences.
Есть некоторые различия.
So one of the differences is in the earthly Vrindavan there are demons.
Да, например, пример различия, что у нас на земле в этом Вриндаване демоны приходят.
In Goloka Vrindavan there are no demons.
А на Галоке нет демонов.
It's only a rumor that Kamsa may come, but
Там есть какие-то слухи или идеи, что могут прийти всякие демоны.
that so yes, these are differences and
Существуют какие-то различия.
and great self-realized devotees
Да, и вот самореализованные преданные, они понимают это.
they enter into samadhi
И вот ты, когда входишь в самадхи,
and they enter the uppercut lila of Krishna,
и входишь в игры Кришны.
unmanifested in this world.
И вот, короче, которые проявляются в этом
But
мире.
this uppercut lila
Называется Абракат Лила.
is the lila of Golok.
Лила Галоки, они не
Yeah.
проявлены.
They are in contact with Golok to the heart.
И вот так можно войти, так сказать, в эти
But,
игры.
about these differences,
Да, вот если говорить об этих различиях,
you don't have to worry about that.
ну, особо там, ну, короче, да, не ясно.
If you go there, you will find out.
Разберитесь и увидите.
But if you want to read more about that,
Если вы хотите почитать об этом побольше,
you take Shivaram's book, Krishna Samgita,
да, там на эту тему писал Шиварама Сами Кришна Сангита.
and there in the introduction, he speaks about the difference between Goloka Vrindavan and earthly Vrindavan.
Да, где-то там в введении он как раз писал эти различия.
So there you can find this information.
Да, вот можно поискать.
Well, I never heard that there is a moon in Goloka Vrindavan, but it could be. I don't know.
Ну, он говорит, я не знаю, там насчет Луны не слышал, но может быть, найдете.
Good. Thank you very much.
Кришна.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Шиварама Прабхупада Махараджи.
Да.
Встречаются? Thank you, Maharaj.
Do you want to speak with me?
No, it's not possible. We started with 10 o'clock and sometimes
Can come now.
if it's possible.
That was-